What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris. Welcome back to the Spark Plug channel. Thank you so much for all the love on the Quentin Grimes video as we get into today's video about the Brooklyn Nets and how they are on a trajectory. You know what I'm trying to say, folks? They're on pace to have one of the best rebuilds in basketball. Let's get into it. Now, I think the most important thing about a rebuild is finding your voice, finding your guy that's going to lead this young group, which is a very hard job to lead a young group in the NBA. We see so many coaches get fired every year for not being able to continue to develop their guys and produce wins when they need to, meaning teams out there like the Raptors picking up big wins over the Celtics and the Warriors that boost team confidence and give you the opportunity to look at that group and be like, damn, they still have some good pieces. There's so much potential there. That's what the Brooklyn Nets have done this season. They've shocked teams night in and night out. They're currently back on their tanking trajectory right now. And I think the perfect thing is, and the thing that they hit the nail on the head with, is getting their guy, Jordi Fernandez. Now, Jordi Fernandez had this team as a fringe playoff team before trading away Dennis Schroeder, who was really holding it down for them. Sorry for Golden State. He's not doing the same over there. But the fact that they got their guy in year one of a rebuild when they're entering what is going to be one hell of an offseason is just great work by Sean Marks and the entire Brooklyn Nets front office. Another brilliant thing they did this offseason and that helped start this rebuild in the offseason was acquiring their first-round picks in 25 and 26 back from Houston in exchange for some Phoenix Suns second-round picks and rights to different swaps. Not going to get into that because that is going to make everyone lose their attention span because nobody cares. And as far as first-round picks go, it's not even the fact that they have their first-round pick, their own first-round pick in this upcoming draft. They have 3 other future first-round picks in this season's draft. They could go out and land multiple studs in what is an absolute loaded draft class. And Brooklyn currently has the 7th highest odds at getting the number 1 pick in this year's draft, and it's only going to get greater when they continue to lose games and go out and trade guys like Cam Johnson and maybe even Nicholas Claxton, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. And outside of their own first-round pick, which will be a lottery pick, they're expected right now to have picks 22, 26, and 27 in this year's draft. You package those up, you're finding yourself right back in the lottery with a second lottery pick. And obviously, you get the first pick. We know who they'd go with, Cooper Flagg, the perfect way for them to set up their franchise. But there's other options. You get pick 2, you get Dylan Harper. You get pick 3, maybe you're getting Kasper Jankis. I don't know how to fully pronounce it yet. I'm not done my deep dive on him. But the Illinois point guard that everyone's raving about. You get a guy like Igor Demon. You get a scorer like Trey Johnson, although might conflict with another guy on the team. You get a guy like Kaman Malawach out of Duke who has potential to be an all-around monster when it comes to being a big man. And already Brooklyn, in my opinion, has a potential future all-star on their roster. And I know people are already rolling their eyes and saying Cam Thomas is never going to be an all-star. Well, let me talk to you guys about this. From the start of the season to before his calf injury happened, he was averaging 25 points per game for Brooklyn, shooting 46% from the field, 39% from deep, averaging 3 rebounds and 3 assists a night. What is wrong with that? How is that not all-star numbers? I understand he's taking 18 shots a night. But if he's getting 25 points, he can take 18 shots a night. People are going to say he's a shot chucker. People are going to say he's not a good defender. And I understand he isn't a great defender. But also, they've continued to see him grow every year. They told him, we need you to take more threes. We need you to stop settling for the mid-range. We need you to pass the ball more and get more assists and get other guys involved. He's done both of those things. And he's a legit potential all-star on this roster. And at the age of 23, let's not put him in a pigeonhole position where he has to be a 6-man or he has to be a backup or he has to be a guy who's going to be on tanking teams for his entire career because, again, he's 23 years old. And other guys they have on their roster, like Zaire Williams, who since the month of January, where he's played 8 games, is averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, shooting 45% from the field, and hitting 42% of his threes on 5 attempts a game. This is a guy who Memphis just basically gave up on and traded to them because they need to clear up a roster spot in the offseason. And they were like, sure, let's take him. And he is able to play the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. We've seen him start at the 5 this year against the Golden State Warriors, and it did not look bad. He's a potential point of attack defender for this team. He has clearly grown on the defensive end this season. We've seen him get some tough assignments, whether it's guarding Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, or other players like that in this league. We've seen him take those matchups and do a good enough job on them. And again, this is another guy who's only 23 years of age and has so much potential in this league, and they found a good one there. Another guy I think they kind of have a diamond in the rough in is Tyrese Martin, a guy who's just a knockdown 3-and-D defender, or 3-and-D shooter, and I honestly think that they need to offer him a long-term contract. Now, he has been struggling, shooting around 34% since January. He's kind of came back down to earth. I don't think he's going to be some 15-point-per-game guy, but he's a good bench player and a young bench player. Why not just sign him to a long-term deal? Sorry, not long-term, maybe a 2-year, 3-year contract, but you get what I mean. Then they have another guy like Noah Clowney, who's personally becoming one of my more exciting young players to watch because every night he kind of is developing a different part of his game. Now, he's not a great defender by any means, but he can get up there and block a shot every once in a while. But he's a good three-point shooter, and I know people are going to go up and look up his stats after this. I'm not even going to tell you his stats because they're not great, and the efficiency has been terrible. But it's also someone has to shoot with Cam Thomas being out, so I guess it's him is what they're doing. But you're telling me that you have a 6'10" guy who can play the 4 and the 5, who can potentially be a 39 to 40% three-point shooter at 6'10" again, folks. What is going on here? Like, why is nobody talking about this young man at the age of 21 years old? In that win they had against Milwaukee earlier this season, he had a 20-point game, was 6 of 9 from deep, 7 of 10 from the field, grabbed 4 boards, had 2 assists, 1 steal, and he just was very locked in. Another game he played great was that 18-point win against Portland. He did the same efficiency from the field, shooting 70%, was 4 of 7 from 3, got to the free throw line twice, had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Stuffing the suffer and succotash, stuffing the stat sheet with numbers. I love Noah Clowney, and that's already 3 guys I've named that can be or 4 guys I've named that can potentially be part of this future for a team that already has 4 first-round picks this offseason. Another guy to talk about is Day'Ron Sharpe. Now, Day'Ron Sharpe is a little bit of an undersized center, but you wouldn't believe it because of how hard he hits the offensive glass. Since January, he's averaging 9.6 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, and shooting 52% from the field. And he's just a bit of a monster and a perfect backup center for a team. Now, I don't know if they're going to package him off in a trade because I can see contending teams liking the fact that he's still younger, but he also plays like a grown man and can go out and just outwork so many players. But at the end of the day, that's either going to net you a good return or be a good part of your future if you're the Brooklyn Nets. Keon Johnson's another young guy out of this group, averaging 13 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. His efficiency isn't great at 37% from the field, but at the same time, when you look at a guy like Keon Johnson, I think I may have said Keon Johnson, he is a fun young player who attacks the glass aggressively, isn't afraid to shoot it, and is just a fun player for this group and could potentially also be part of this group's future as a backup guard. Now, I say all of this before even mentioning the fact that they have one of the hottest, if not the hottest name on the trade market, Cam Johnson, who over January is averaging 25 points per game, 59% from the field, 42% from 3 on 9 attempts a game, 9 attempts a game, and he's the hottest commodity on the block. You're going to potentially get a young player in 2 first-round picks is what the reports are saying about Cam Johnson, already adding to your stacked your stacked room of draft picks in this upcoming draft. Similar boat as Cam Johnson, just not a guy who's necessarily been talked about a lot as a trade candidate, but there's no world where I don't see Brooklyn at least listening to offers on him, is Nicholas Claxton. Claxton's a good rim protector, still young, on a really team-friendly deal, and he can do a lot of things that a team like the Golden State Warriors would absolutely love as a lob threat rim protector. Now here comes the fun part, folks. We talk about their upcoming offseason. They have $91 million in projected cap space this upcoming offseason with potential free agents that they could pursue. Guys like Jimmy Butler, Fred VanVleet, Julius Randle, Chris Middleton, Miles Turner, Naz Reid, or even Jonathan Kuminga. And if they hold off and wait for the following year, you're looking at guys like Damian Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, all as potential guys that they could land long-term. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is also a free agent in the upcoming offseason, but I assume OKC gets an extension done with him before that even comes close to happening. But I say all this because you look at the way the Houston Rockets have built their roster right now. They're currently the 2 seed out west. They drafted well, had young players, acquired many first-round picks, continued to draft well, had an offseason where they had millions in cap space, and went out and spent it on guys like Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks to fill out their roster, bringing in veterans like Jeff Green as well, Steven Adams as well, and look at where they are now. Not saying it's going to be this quick for Brooklyn. Obviously, they don't have the star power of a guy like Alperen Sengun or an Amen Thompson or even a Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Jalen Green. but they're getting there. They're halfway there. They're living on a prayer. Let's just go over it one more time, folks. They have the coach of the future in Jordi Fernandez, a potential future all-star, two extremely wanted assets in Cam Johnson and Nicholas Claxton, young, exciting players like Noah Clowney, Zaire Williams, Keon Johnson, Day'Ron Sharpe, and Tyrese Martin, and they have 4 first-round picks in this year's draft. The Brooklyn Nets are on their way to an excellent rebuild, as well as having $91 million in cap space. I'm Chris Lambert, folks. That's all I got for you. Have a wonderful day.
New basketball I played, I coached. So I started with player development, video, then scout, then assistant coach, went to the G League, was a head coach. Like every step of the way, every coach I've worked with, all my mentors, all my colleagues have helped me be where I am right now. And I'm so thankful for every step, all the places, franchises, all the cities that I've been. That's why I'm here.